On this next motherfucking episode of Meet the Plug, we gonna talk about some WordPress goals updates coming all the way from the 2023 annual survey results to WordPress's big picture goals for 2024, and even more recently, their Media Corp's briefing for midterm goals. And then we gonna touch on some tech with AI, discussing some OpenAI's ChatGPT 01, Anthropic's Claude, and Google's Gemini. And lastly, before we wrap it up, like the mummy of King Tut and Nefertiti, we gonna get into that business model. There are a lot of entrepreneurs that are still struggling with their business model, and I wanna give you some tips, tricks, strategies, tactics on how you can set up your business model easily using a one-page document called the Business Model Canvas. Because if you don't know how your business operates, how the hell do you expect to succeed?
Come on, man. Come on. Brother, how you doing? Whoa. Hold on, man. Hold on. I know, man, you worked a long time. Oh, man, no, man. What the hell? Oh, my God. No way.
You don't seem to realize what business you're in. You're not in the burger business. You're in the real estate business. You don't build an empire off a 1.4% cut of a 15-cent hamburger. You build it by owning the land upon which that burger is cooked.
So without further ado, let's punch drunk love right in it. But first, let me plug in that intro. Meet the plug. I'm your host, Maestro Stevens, the fresh prince of WordPress, and your plug-in for the plugins. On this podcast, we discuss everything in the world of WordPress, trends in tech, and making big business moves. So stay tuned as we deliver you a silver spoon of the juice, straight, no chaser, to you content creators. Now welcome to Meet the Plug WP, where we deal dope tech shit. What up, everybody? As you already know, I am Maestro, your host of this podcast, Meet the Plug. And I just want to start this episode off with thanking those of you who have tuned in, whether you are tuning in the beginning or you are tuning in when we are 100 episodes plus in. I don't care. I'm just grateful that you are tuning in. Now, while you are listening, you know I got to plug in the fact that you can subscribe to the podcast on whatever platform or device you are listening on, because we are everywhere. At least we're in most places. You can also leave a review if you have some time. I would appreciate that, you leaving a review. And don't forget to check out our YouTube channel as well. You can just check out Iconic Templates. That is the brand behind this podcast, Meet the Plug. Check out the YouTube channel because you are going to visually learn a lot of things that this audio experience doesn't bring you, because this is an audio only podcast right now. In the future, I may turn it or repurpose it into video, but for now, we're going to keep this all audio. I want to get into some things today. Starting off with our segment, That's My Word.
Say another motherfucking word and this shit is over. And I ain't playing, nigga.
I want to talk to y'all about some things happening in WordPress, especially since right now as we speak, WordCamp US is happening. And for those of you who don't know what WordCamp US is, or a WordCamp is in general, think of it as a big WordPress conference. conference dedicated to WordPress. Not a meeting, but a conference. And I thought it would be a great opportunity to talk about some of the survey results that came from last year that helped support some of the big picture goals that WordPress had, as well as some midterm goals that WordPress has as well. If you are unfamiliar with this survey, they typically do a survey every year called the annual survey or some type of WordPress annual survey, or I'm gonna just call it that for now, shoot. And I believe next year they're not going to be doing it in-house. They're going to be using another third-party media outlet or some type of third-party company that covers WordPress, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that. That's just what I remember listening to the Media Corp's briefing video. This survey really does help give people some insight into what is the sentiment of WordPress. Now, here's the thing, because I did hear from another either YouTube video or podcast how this person didn't believe that the survey covered enough ground. What I mean by that is it didn't touch on enough of the representative WordPress community. And while I don't know whether it did or didn't, I would say that it touched on a vast amount in order for them to get these results, because WordPress is a huge market. It's a huge community. So I think a lot of people filled this survey out to give some results. But let's look at it real quick. I'm going to read some of the verbiage from it, so that way you can, picture the things that you need to picture in your mind. And if you want to go to this survey, you can go to it. You can Google it, 2023 annual survey, WordPress, or WordPress 2023 annual survey. I'll also add this in the show notes. But for those of y'all who ain't got time for that, and I can understand that,
Ain't nobody got time for that.
I'm going to read you some of the information I thought was good to know, but also was interesting as well too. And then we're going to go into the big picture goals and some of the Media Corp's briefing. When it comes to the logistics of the survey, it says that completions were up 17% in 2023. So that's a good amount, almost a quarter of percent going up as far as completions of the survey. And then the completion rate increased again from last year's high of 63% to 79% in 2023. That's pretty dope as well. When it comes to the general trends, this is where I really want to get into, because this is going to help us touch some bases on some of their big picture goals. And the reason why I'm reading this survey first, even though when you look at the date, it says February 14th, 2024, as far as what it was published, in comparison to the big picture goals published in January. And the reason why that's important is because although the big picture goals came first, I believe that they already had the survey results. I mean, let's just keep it real. They probably already had that shit in their back pocket. They just didn't release it to the public until a month later after they released their big picture goals. But I'm sure they came up with these goals based on the survey results. That's my theory. I could be wrong. However, I don't think I am. When it comes to some of the general trends, we have the NPS, Net Promoter Score, that's what that stands for, was 30.1 overall, with contributors at 27.9 and non-contributors at 32. The NPS has trended downward since 2021 when it was 45. So the Net Promoter Score, for those of y'all who don't know what that is, I'm going to try to break it down to a very C-student level. It's pretty much the survey itself that asks questions about customer satisfaction. And it has specific questions that it asks in a kind of a rating scale type of scenario. And pretty much if things aren't being rated in the high percentage of that scale, and this is how big companies normally do it, then they will normally either get rid of that thing, process, product, service, whatever, or they will strive to improve on it. So they don't really go with the whole, well, we got a score of 6 out of 10. That's good. No, if it ain't an 8 or a 9, meaning like, would you recommend this to a person? If it's not a 9 or a 10 in some cases, I'm sure that's like Apple. But for other places, it's a 7 or 8 or a 9. If it's not in a high numbers, then that's pretty much letting you know you don't want to focus on it anymore. So that's why this net promoter score is the first bullet point underneath general trends, because I think that they wanted to know and they wanted to show, for show.
For show. For show. I'm getting that for show.
What the overall sentiment was in WordPress. Then we have 60% of respondents indicate usage of Gutenberg, 8% are unsure, and 12% use something else. That's a pretty good amount of people that are using Gutenberg, which is the WordPress editor. This is their native way of building out pages instead of using the old classic, the old dog way, or using a page builder like Elementor, Divi, Beaver Builder, the works. 45% of respondents indicate that the WordPress site editor meets their site building needs. 26% are indifferent, and 29% disagree. So 26% will say a quarter of the people are indifferent. About a third, 29%, so I'm just putting that a third, but a third disagree that the site editor meets their needs, and almost 50% of people say it does. That's good. Some people will say that's bad. Some people expect more for it to be higher. I can understand where some of those folks is coming from. But others, they like, nah, son, that's terrible. What else do we got here? I'm not going to read every single one. I just want to read the ones that were interesting to me, and maybe they will be interesting to you. We'll say 61% of respondents are indicating some type of familiarity with block themes and plugins. So most people are understanding what those things are. That's what that sounds like. And the question wasn't asked in the previous survey year. Security, performance, and stability are the top 3 critical things that people were responding to when building out a website, plug, theme, or style variation. And that makes absolute sense, because here's the thing. Security, it's a lot of, I would say, shit cannon on WordPress when it comes to people saying WordPress ain't secure. That shit has been debunked before. However, it does not mean security should not be a critical area of priority still, because people are always trying to hack into WordPress. They really are. Bots are always trying to hack into WordPress. Hack just shit you wouldn't even know is there. They trying to hack it. Performance, abso-fucking-lutely. That's got to be a priority. We have to protect, then we have to perform, we have to produce, and then wrapping it up with the stability part, making sure that everything is working as it should. Yeah, I mean, I can understand that being the top 3 critical areas that people are thinking about. It says 63% agree that WordPress is as good or better than other CMSs. And that is down from 68% from the previous year of 2022. Respondents cited too many plugins, the site editing experience, security, and performance as the top 4 worst things about WordPress. And that's interesting. That is interesting. And then it says 16% indicated that none of these 20 topics were terrible. And there was a 43% decrease in the number of people indicating that the site editing is difficult to learn. I guess that means that people are adopting to the site editor a little bit easier. If they're saying that there's a 43% decrease, that's good. That's real good. However, there are a lot of people still complaining, and we're going to get into that in a minute. And then we have search engines and YouTube continue to be 2 of the most common resources for finding information about WordPress. Well, those writing about WordPress in general saw a sharp decline year over year. Now, here's the thing, and this is why we do what we do as far as being on 2 different platforms using 2 different mediums, because I did a survey with a community, with the Cadence community years ago, and one of my questions was indicating, where are you going to learn what you need to learn about WordPress? Where do you consume the most content, and what format? And my results came out as YouTube, one of the biggest ones. So that makes perfect sense, as well as people searching for content, searching for help. That's the reason why I went all the way in with making a YouTube channel for iconic templates. That is the main reason why, because that is the number one way people are going to not only become aware of you, especially if you're not paying to play, but also that is one of the best ways people learn is through video, by showing them how to do things. And there are certain people that are auditory learners that can learn through listening or just want to listen. But there is a huge market of people that need to see. They can't visualize it. They want to see it. And that's the reason why I went all the way in our YouTube channel. And then on a separate note, I also wanted to create something that was different than what we have on the YouTube channel, but complemented the YouTube channel. That's where Meet the Plug comes in, because I wanted to do something a little bit more raw, rugged, rigid, a little bit more mature, but not raunchy. You know what I'm saying? And giving context and educating and entertaining a different but overlapping audience. I believe this audience is different than the YouTube channel's audience. And there is some overlap there as well too. So I can see why they would say search engines in YouTube, because when we say search engines, we really talk about Google, and Google owns YouTube. So isn't that funny how it's all the same right there? When you say search engines, you're really saying Googles. The Google. You can say Googles or the Google. That's what it is. Let's just call a spade a motherfucking spade. It's Google. So Google and YouTube continue to be the most common resources for finding information about WordPress. Or we might as well just say Google. And let's touch on the contributor sentiment. I ain't going to do too much of this, but this is important because this is about the community. And that's one thing that I strive to bring in my own quirky or my own cultural or my own black sheep, pun intended, type of way. Because I do feel like the black sheep of certain communities, or the black sheep of WordPress, and to some extent. And I'm like, nah, fuck that shit. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm just going to strive to build my own channels, build my own platform. When it comes to contribution and community, I'm all about that shit. I'm just not about the politics that come with that. I'm not. I just don't do well with that. And sometimes I probably fuck up when I'm doing that. I'll admit that shit. I will admit it. But contribution, don't ever question that. I'm just not going to do it the way that they want me to do it. And I would hope that you do it the way you want to do it. Now, I understand, and you should understand, you got to follow some guidelines, have a little bit of tact or class or respect to a degree. I get that part. But don't be inauthentic with your style or what you're doing because of all the different guidelines and the gatekeepers that WordPress has to protect their best interests versus yours. So underneath contributor sentiment, it says 58% of self-identified contributors to WordPress say they agree with the project's roadmap plans for phase 3 and phase 4 as a good plan to enhance WordPress. So that's cool. About 1/3 of respondents indicated they contribute to WordPress project. Only about half knew how to get involved and what WordCamps are and meetups are. That's why I explained what a WordCamp was before. And only half understood the difference between WordPress.org and WordPress.com and knew the benefits of open source. That part right there, in my opinion, is motherfucking key. That's key right there. Because 1/3 indicated they contribute. That's cool. That's a good amount. 1/3 contributing, volunteering. When they say contributing, let's put it out there. Let's put the word out there. Volunteering, giving free time. They're not getting paid for the shit. Some people are getting sponsored. Some people are getting brand deals. I would say most people aren't. Yeah, I would say most people are not getting that. But 1/3 contributing, hey, blessings to you. But only half knowing about WordCamps and meetups, that's not good at all. I believe it should be way more than half. And they only understand, or they don't understand the difference between WordPress.org and WordPress.com. Now that makes sense why they don't understand, but it doesn't make sense that WordPress.org and .com continue this pathway. That makes no fucking sense right there. Like at all. So that's something that I am really, really passionate about is the separation between the two, because I hate having to always explain that. They make it harder for people like us who want to teach and educate and show people. They make it harder for us to do so by keeping so much similarity between the two when they are totally different things. But because of that word WordPress, they are confusing people. And then we have fewer contributors had a positive experience in 2023. 55% versus 2022, 63%, 64%, excuse me. That's not good either. Similarly, the feeling of being welcome in the WordPress community among contributors decreased to 57% versus 64% in 2022. That's also no bueno. Not good. No bueno indeed. That's not good, man. That's showing WordPress that people are feeling some sort of way. Not feeling welcome? I know what that feels like, y'all. I don't like to use the word feelings often, but in this context, it's okay. Do you know what that feels like? It says, furthermore, contributors feel appropriately recognized less in 2023, 46%, than in 2022, 51%. Interesting. So that right there is the survey. I wanted to touch on that because I thought that it was a great lead in to their big picture goals. Because as I said in the beginning of this part here, was although the survey was published in February of 2024, the big picture goals being published in January of 2024, I believe they already had the data, or at least enough data, to be able to create the big picture goals. And they just decided to release the survey to let more information come in, or probably do more housekeeping and things like that. I don't know. But they probably decided not to release until it was polished. Didn't mean that they didn't have the information in order to make the projections, in order to make the plans of what's going on. Does that make sense? I don't know. It makes sense to me. I want to make sure it makes sense to y'all. And then what I do want you to take a look at, I want you to take a look at, if you have some time, if it matters to you, the Media Corp's briefing. It's called Media Corp's Briefing, Midterm Goals for WordPress. And it's with Josepha Hayden Chomsky, to be specific. And she, I forgot what position. Oh, the executive director. Yes, she's the executive director of WordPress. And she just basically was on a YouTube video with some media outlets, WordPress media outlets, and the moderator, obviously, talking about what the plans were. That's what they call the midterm goals. And I listened to this. I just wanted to get an understanding of what WordPress was doing, what they were admitting to, what they thought about it, what, where they wanted to make some changes at, if they were going to make some changes. I wanted to listen. And I know a lot of people don't listen to this because the views be so low at times, but hey, these views are pretty nice. It's at 286, not 1,000, y'all. Just 286. You're like, 286,000? Maestro, what you talking about? Nah, I'm talking about 286 views, and it was 6 days ago. For a WordPress video on the WordPress official WordPress channel, that's a good amount of views, because sometimes they don't get that many views just because it's so much competition, right? People aren't going to go to the WordPress channel. They're going to go to the influencers out there, the experts out there, to learn about WordPress. Yeah, this came out 6 days ago, 286 views, and I would definitely encourage you to check this video out just to learn a little bit more. What I will say is that WordPress is at a tipping point, and even though I can hear the adjustments that are going to be made in this video here, the midterm goals, I also don't understand, if they're actually going to meet some of these lofty goals or make these changes, because basically they want to refocus from, I believe, WordPress having a live collaboration experience that was supposed to be happening, but they need to put that on hold because so many people complained about the onboarding experience, about the site editor or Gutenberg not really being all the way flushed out. And then there's also a WordPress admin issue. So onboarding is one thing, how to use WordPress, but then once you're in it, that admin is so outdated, it makes people feel old. And I understand that shit. You know, I'm used to it, so I don't complain about it because my mindset doesn't really look at that as needing to be aesthetically pleasing. However, when I'm in certain plugins in WordPress and their user interface, their interface takes over, I'm looking at that. I'm like, damn, WordPress, like, why aren't you doing this? You're letting other people do this inside your own tool, but you ain't doing this. So I can understand where people are coming from, especially with the young generation. WordPress is about to lose. They're going to lose the war. Like, I just watched this video because I'm a gamer, y'all. I'm not like a gamer, but I play my PlayStation every now and then. And sometimes, you know, I'll play an Xbox, or at least I'll play in the cloud. Because I used to play this game called Starfield, and I don't have an Xbox, but I like the fact that Xbox had the cloud gaming subscription, so I played it in the cloud. And I was watching this video about how, quote unquote, Xbox has lost the war. And a big part of that video was them basically saying that they did not adopt the new things coming, and they didn't adapt to what was being requested, what was being needed from their users. So here comes PlayStation taking over, because there was one point in time where Xbox, with the Xbox 360, I don't know if some of y'all remember that, but Xbox 360, that was that joint. That shit, man, that shit took over. I'm trying to tell you, but after that, you know, it went kind of, it went kind of bad. And that's how I see WordPress. WordPress does not make adjustments to make this platform, you know, just as developer welcoming and designer welcoming as just normal user-based welcoming. We're going to go into some deep, hot shit. WordPress is going to get into some deep, hot shit. And I ain't talking about that hot shit you taking out the microwave when you done put that joint in there for 5 or 20 minutes. Now I'm talking about some bad hot shit, like toilet shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about like dog shit. You know what I'm saying? When you ever step in some dog shit, you was on your jog or your walk, and you just stepped in it, and even though you stepped in it with your shoe, you just felt the nasty ass warmth. Like, damn, some fresh ass dog shit. Ain't that nasty? You know what I'm saying? That's gonna be WordPress. So again, it was interesting to listen to Josepha give the rundown, but then also get some live user questions from some of the media outlets about what they believe needs some priority, needs some loving, some McLovin. And I would definitely say that a lot of their sentiment, at least for me, it made sense. Supposedly, and I'm believing in them, but I'd have to say supposedly or alleged, you know, they're going to address the user frustrations. They're going to prioritize the new user onboarding. And that's why they're putting some of, I believe it's phase 3 on hold. Well, the other plans for phase 3 that were live collaboration in WordPress. And then they want to also make contribution more accessible. Since the numbers have decreased, they want to make contribution more accessible, easy for people, while also addressing the whole WordCamp issue, where people are going to WordCamps and it's the same people. That's an acquisition or adoption. New people aren't joining WordPress and going to these WordCamps. It's the same rotation. It's like that person at the bar that you know is a regular. Hey, Jesse. What up, Tasha? I hope nobody out there is named Jesse or Tasha. I ain't talking to you specifically, but you know, you just know that person, and they at the bar, they at the spot. That's how they say WordPress is when it comes to certain people, and that's another reason why I am not attending the WordCamp US this year, or Asia or Europe, because I needed to take a break. And when you show up too much, I believe that sometimes people, they start to lose appreciation for you. And I have my other reasons as well too. I'll talk about on other episodes. But that's pretty much it for this segment of That's My Word.
Say another motherfucking word and this shit is over. And I ain't playing, nigga.
Just giving y'all a little bit of scoop on some of WordPress's goals and the survey that came from people, just regular people like me and you, filled out this survey and we gave our feedback. And I'm hoping that it was honest. It seems like it was honest because the stuff that I read, everything was so good. Now, I'm not saying that it ain't no great things happening at WordPress. Do not get me wrong. WordPress is still on top. But you can lose from the top. What you did last year don't make what you do this year. What they say, what you eat don't make me shit. You know what I mean? And last year's accomplishments aren't this year's accomplishments. So again, don't get me wrong, WordPress is still that jam. Jelly, peanut butter, the whole damn sandwich. But they got a lot of work to do or they will lose the war. And when you lose the war, it's not like a battle. When you lose the war, it's very hard to come back from that shit. Yep, it's very hard to come back from that. So I know I touched on this segment for a minute, but I thought it was something that y'all need to hear. And don't forget to check out WordCamp US when it hits the YouTube stream. Normally they put it on immediately, or at least they live stream it immediately, and then they'll put some individual videos like the workshops, they may put that later. So don't forget to check that out whenever you have a chance so you can see what's going on. Now let's get into some dope tech shit. And I'm going to quickly touch on, because I want to save another episode to go deeper into it since I spend enough time talking about WordPress. But I want to quickly touch on AI and let y'all know how much I love AI. But more importantly than how much I love AI, I want to get y'all hip to the fact that at least use one. And if you are not using one, I would advise you choose one. If you want to take it a step further, I would use 2 to 3. Because when you use them together to help them correct each other, or when you have limitations on one from their features or from their capabilities versus the limitations of a free plan or a pro plan, because you can have a pro plan with one of them and have a free plan with another. I would say most of us should be using either ChatGPT or Gemini. And the reason why I say that is because ChatGPT is the most popular, and Gemini's free plan, I haven't ran into any limits. ChatGPT, you will run into limits. The funny part is neither of those are my favorite, but that's why I said most people should be using ChatGPT and Gemini. And it's because Claude has the most limitations on the free plan. ChatGPT has more capability on the free plan, or at least less limitations on the free plan than Claude. Claude, you can man, you can run up that sucker so fast, but the output of that shit, it's worth it. It's worth it. Yeah, I would definitely say it's worth it. OpenAI's ChatGPT has just dropped their O1, or their O1 model to be specific. Let me be specific because some people are just like, what the fuck is O1? Their O1 model. And this model is supposed to be superior in reasoning. So previously we had ChatGPT 4, which was one of my favorite ones. Then they moved to 4.0. It's so confusing how they're numbering things, but apparently they say they're going to keep the numbers consistent from now on. So they had 4, then 4.0. Now they have O1 and O1 preview. And eventually it'll just be O1. Their O1 model, you can't upload things to it. So that's one of the limitations that you need to understand. You can't upload things to it like you can the other models. And you only get so many responses per month as well too. It's not like a day thing. Per week. I said per month. I meant per week. You only get so many responses per week when it comes to their O1 model. It is great when it comes to math, science, coding, things that need to be broken down in a step-by-step manner. It is great at that. Well, I will definitely say so. So test it if you have the pro plan. Now that's the unfortunate part, that it's only right now for pro users. They will be offering it for free users here at some point in time. Maybe by the time you listen to this podcast, it's already the standard or the norm. Who knows? Either way, it's only for paid users at this moment in September of 2024. If you want to skip past that, look at their website and look at what the prompts are, what they call their ability to get to this conclusion with this O1 model. And you can typically take that, how they did it and then use that in the free model or your free plan and get similar results, because it's really just a certain way, a method that they've programmed into the O1 that will take things in a step-by-step basis. If you do that on your own accord, make a little snippet or a template, copy that from a document, make that on your own accord, you can, there's a chance you can do the same thing. That's a tip right there. So try that out. Claude, on the other hand, I mentioned it being my favorite one because they have a model called Sonnet. And since the O1 model is more limited and they don't offer on the free plan, you can take advantage of Claude for free, Sonnet's best model. You'll get about 3 or 5 messages out of it, depending on how much prompt you put into it, how much information that you give it. You'll get about 3 to 5, maybe you'll get 6 before it says that your time is up. Your time has come. No, I'm just playing. Before it says that you're done or you got to wait X amount of hours or to the next day to be able to use it. As I mentioned, the output is superior, so use that sparingly. And when you use it, don't just ask it the most simplest thing. Don't overcomplicate it, but give it very clear directions. Give it the information you need to give it in very clear directions so you can get the best output. That's how I put it. For Gemini, as I mentioned, it's unlimited on the free plan. I'm not using the Gemini Pro just yet. Not yet, at least. Or Gemini Advanced is what they call it, because I don't need it right now. I have ChatGPT, and the 4.0 model is pretty good. And then I have Claude Sonnet, which I love that model. And I can get those whether I'm on the free or pro plan. I can at least get access to it. With Google Gemini, you don't get that. They don't give you a taste of their highest or best model on Gemini. You gotta buy the pro subscription. That's just something for you guys to realize. And then another tip or bonus would be using Google's other AI platform called Notebook LM. And that you get unlimited. Unlimited. Now here's the thing. With that unlimited comes some limitations. What do I mean by that? Well, that tool's not meant, like the other tools, to access the internet. And it's not meant to just give you answers based on prompts that you give it. You have to first give it sources, source materials, resources. You got to give it something for it to be able to give you an output from. That's why they call it Notebook LM. It's supposed to be their AI note-taking tool. So it can give summaries and things like that. When I tell you, it is dope and it is such a great tool to have in your arsenal. Just put sources in it. And they've added more ways for you to add more types of sources. You get 50 sources as of right now. They even have this feature that will summarize your sources and it will create an AI-like podcast deep dive between 2 people, a male and a female talking. And it sounds really, really good. That's Notebook LM that happens with. So try that out. Notebook LM right now. It's in the experimental phase and it's free. For how long? I don't know, but it's free right now. And that's all I wanted to touch on in this segment of dope tech shit. So when it comes to doing business,
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry for it was just business. You know, I'm a professional.
That's what everybody keeps saying. I'm just a professional. Everybody keeps saying.
I want to put this out there right now. I'm no business model expert, but I do have experience in drafting business models for myself and for clients. And when you do something so many times, typically you get better at it, or at least you have a more understanding. Doesn't mean you're an expert in it, but typically you get better and you have more understanding than the person who doesn't know anything about it. You know, that's how I look at it. So I don't want to try to make this seem like I know all the things there is to know about business models, because I don't. But I know enough to help people get started, to help people get further than where they are, and to give some insights on why it's important. So let's quickly just talk about the business model. And I don't want to use no over glorified or no super, how do I say, politically correct definition of it. The way I look at a business model is the way that I look at a blueprint of a house. You have different rooms on this blueprint of the house, right? Different rooms. If you're looking at a blueprint, imagine it. And every room has different needs. Some rooms can be similar, but they have different needs. And you need to make sure you have certain things in each room to fulfill the outcome that you're looking for as a household. For instance, would you put your sink right next to your bed? You might have a bathroom in your bedroom, but the bathroom is in a different room. So technically it's not in your bedroom, it's next to your bedroom. But we'll say, I got a bathroom in my bedroom. Well, the bathroom, that's why it's called bathroom. It's a different room. Would you put your refrigerator? I know some people probably do, but would you put your refrigerator in the bathroom? That'd be crazy if you did. You're like, shit, I'm just about to shit and eat. Let me just pull something out the refrigerator while I'm doing my due, But yeah, I think about it like that. So a blueprint of a house is kin to a business model or a business. You have these different areas of your business that have different needs that help you define what your business is and is not. That's the key. The business model is supposed to define what your business is and is not and how it operates. And so when it comes to the business model, it's broken down into 9 different key areas. I don't know how much a house is broken down from the blueprint standpoint of how many different rooms, but sometimes you have 4 rooms. Sometimes you have 5 rooms. I don't know what the average is, but I'm sure that you can imagine, a house, 2-bedroom house, probably has the 2 bedrooms, then it has a bathroom, then it has a kitchen. That's 4 already. Then it may have a living room. That's 5. Then it can have a basement. You get where I'm going with that. And what I like about the business model, now when I say business model, I'm more referring specifically to the business model canvas. So let me also back up real quick, because the business model is just really supposed to tell people around you. It should be able to show and tell how your business operates. Then there's a tool called the business model canvas that can really show that can visually show that. So when I keep saying business model, I'm minifying it, but I'm really talking about the business model canvas, because people can try to explain what their business does, and then it can change always over time. But how many people can hand somebody a document or a piece of paper and say, this is what my business is, and this is what my business is not? I don't got to say nothing. And that also creates consistency. That's something that I think a lot of entrepreneurs don't do when they get into business. The best part about a business model, for those of y'all who don't need a business plan, for the most part, your business model will suffice. It will really give you clear direction on where you need to go with your business without having to do a 20-page paper or a 30-page paper. Unless you're looking to get funding, lending, those kind of things, that's different. Partnerships, equity building, that's different when you're looking to do that. When you just want to operate your business, you have a small company or you're a solopreneur, at minimum, you should just have a business model. So that way, anybody else that comes to help you, they can use that as the source of truth. That business model is a source of truth. And the 9 key areas in a business model, or as they call it, building blocks. The first one would be value proposition. Now, none of these are in any order. So let me make sure that you understand that. None of these are in any order, okay? The first one is your value proposition. And this is the heart and soul of your business model. This is what makes your business unique. What is it that makes you special or different from your competitors? That's where the value propositions come in. Then we have customer segments. This building block or key area is all about defining who your target market is from a summary standpoint. Because when you define who your target market is from a summary standpoint, then you can deep dive later when you do your branding and your marketing research, right? When you do that kind of stuff. Next, we have channels, which is basically you explaining or you documenting where you're going to be seen and heard and where you're going to do business. What type of platforms do you want your business to be heard from? Are those platforms or channels offline or online? Because there are offline channels and platforms. A conference, for example, the WordPress conference, WordCamp, that's an offline platform, even though they put it online, but people meet there in real life and companies go there to network and meet with each other. That's a channel. So where is your business going to do its business? How is it going to keep in touch with those customers that you said were in your target market? And that's a good point to make as well too. The customers or your clients, where they're at, those should be a part of your channels. Then we have customer relationships. So we want to describe the way in which we want to stay communicated and stay connected with our customers and clients. Because sometimes we don't always want to have a personal one-to-one connection. Sometimes we want to have some type of transactional connection where they can just buy on their own. They don't need customer support in order to purchase. They don't need to be sold. They can just buy the thing on their own. As long as they have the money, they don't have to go through any type of forms or vetting process. And then there's businesses that want to have that kind of relationship where a person must go through some vetting. They must fill out a form. That's customer relationships. Next, we have key resources. Key resources are those things that you must have in order for your business to operate. That should be self-explanatory, but I'll say it again. Key resources are those things. When I say things, I don't mean literally things. It could be a person. It could be I don't want to say a person. Let me take that back. Key resources can be things that are assets to your business. Physical, financial, intellectual. These are key resources here. Labor could be a part of that. Your computer could be a part of that, right? Certain online tools can be a part of that. Those are your key resources. Then we have key activities. Those are the things that you must be doing in your business on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month, or year-to-year basis. So what are the things that you need to be doing in your business consistently? That's your key activities. Then we have key partnerships. Key partnerships are about either key people or key entities. Your partnership may be with a person, or it may be with the organization or company. But the key here is that you must utilize them and vice versa as a strategic avenue of reaching your goals, to where the parties have a mutual beneficial relationship. And typically it's not just transactional, but sometimes it is. And some people get the key partnerships confused with key resources. They do. And I can understand where those can overlap, but that's why they call it key partnerships, because these are the people that your business, its existence and its success depends on this group of people or companies or organizations, or this one. Your success depends on that. Now, just because that person or that group or organization may depart from you doesn't mean you can't be successful. You may just need to replace that key person or key entity with another key person or entity. But basically what you're saying is that their value is important. Now, some people aren't replaceable. Some partnerships are not replaceable. You just got to move on and figure out something else. That's something that you got to realize as well too. And the last two are going to be revenue streams and your cost structure. And I said those two together because they're kind of like opposites. You know, what's coming in and what's going out. Your revenue streams are how you're making your money, what's coming in, right? Your sales, your products, your services, or it could be funding. It could be the way that you operate to receive money. That's revenue right there, revenue stream. Cost structure, or your costs, are your bills. Pretty much. Bills, one-off things that you need to buy, that you need to have, or things that are reoccurring that you have to keep up with every week or every month or every year. That has to be in your cost structure. That right there, my friends, that's a business model. And again, I'm saying business model, short for business model canvas. But that's your business model. And then when you have your business model canvas, then you can summarize that into a pitch. When you understand those things and you have things filled out in all 9 areas, You can summarize that into your pitch. Now you have a business model. Now you can explain your business model. You don't have to show everybody your business model canvas or share it, but you can explain it a lot easier. If you are an entrepreneur and you don't have this, I would suggest not only that you Google it, and there is a platform that I use when I first started learning about the business model canvas. I looked into a platform called Strategizer. At least they came up. They came up with this. If I'm not mistaken, they're the ones who either made it popular or created the kind of original business model canvas template. And you can get that. You can Google it. Go to strategizer.com, search for it, or you can go to Google business model canvas, Strategizer. You don't have to use Strategizer. They're not sponsoring this show or nothing like that. I like to just give people one or two things and then you find the alternatives. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't mean that they're promoting this in any way or even know about it. But I definitely would check it out. Strategizer, business model canvas. Fill that sucker out. If you need any help, hit me up, let me know, and I can get you on your merry way. All right, so let's wrap this thing up because we talked about a lot today. We did. And I'm getting a little hungry. Just kind of recapping things. We talked about WordPress and the annual survey results that pretty much show WordPress has a lot of room to grow. And it seems based on their goals and the midterm goals that they see this disparity. They see this gap. They recognize it, or at least they're saying they recognize it. And they're saying that they want to pause some other plans to fix this hole. I like that shit. I like that shit a lot.
I like you a lot.
Then we touched on a little bit of AI, just kind of putting our toe in the water. We ain't get deep into it yet, but y'all, we gonna get deep. Well, we ain't get deep into it yet. I just wanted to let y'all know that I rocks with ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini. Oh, and Notebook too. And I'm saying that you should only start with one or two when you start your journey. Just start with one or two. Then I would say to take advantage of at least 3 to 4 of these joints. Because like I said, where you may be missing things from one, you can get from another. And then you can always take content from one and put it in another. And then, man, it's like they're using the best of their worlds together. That shit right there, man, I'm telling you, it makes a difference. But just to keep it simple, just start with one. Just choose one. And then lastly, we just went over a little bit of that business model, aka business model canvas. Just getting y'all started and understanding why you need one. Because without one, how you know where you're going to go? How are you able to explain your business well? How are people able to understand your business when you're not there? They can't. You can't. There's nothing to share with them. And a 50-page business plan, man, that shit is outdated. That shit is whack. Don't nobody want to see no 50-page business plan that's looking to help you with your Google ads or help you with your branding or help you build a website or help you with your administrative work. Nobody wants to read no 50-page business plan. Just give me a damn business model. Give me some notes, you know what I'm saying, for some other stuff. And then let that be, at least from a simplicity standpoint. That's all you need. All right. So I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Again, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. Share this with somebody who needs it, somebody who could use it. Share it, subscribe to it. Write a review when you have a second. And don't forget to check out our YouTube channel, Iconic Templates. I feel like I just gave y'all way too much work. Look, you pick and choose which one you want to do. You don't got to do all of them, but pick and choose which one you want to do. And I appreciate you, even if you don't do none. The fact you even listening is more than what I need. Let's just start there. It's more than what I need, you know, so I appreciate that. Yep. But let's get out this bitch. Let's get out of here. But first, let me plug in that outro. Meet the plug.
another motherfucking word, and this shit is over. And I ain't playing, nigga.